Okay, so tonight we are learning about Sukkot and in the teachings of Reb Tzadok HaKohen Lublin. And so this is getting in the Simcha mode. I hope everybody survived Yom Kippur. Baruch Hashem. I remember like I left Yom Kippur morning. I left like 6:30 in the morning. I told my son, "I'll see you on the other side," because I was going away for the whole day. I was only going to come back like 12 something hours later, and like that sounds so. I'll see you on the side. It sounds like we're dying. It sounds like anyway. So in the Baruch Hashem, we're on the other side, and we're ready for Sukkot. So let's get into the Sukkot vibe. And so most importantly, what we need to know about Sukkot is it's Man Simchatenu. It's a time for intense joy. Okay, this is not just being a little bit happy. This is being like out of this world happy. Okay, I think I told you when it comes to Adar. So it says that Mishnachnas Adar Marbim Simcha. So my friend Aaron Rizal, so he has a Torah that usually in like Purim, like Adar comes around in Parshas Vayakal and Parshas Kisisa. So over there's a thing there about asking donations for the Mishkan. So it says that the Moshe said that everybody has to stop bringing donations to the Mishkan. Ki marbim ha'am lahavi, because they're marbim, they're bringing a lot. So he said, you see from here, what's it mean marbim? How do you know if you did marbim? That it's not considered marbim until your neighbors downstairs knock on the doors. What's going on with this noise? That if you're not so loud with your joy that your neighbors aren't complaining, that you have to stop. So that means you didn't do it yet. Okay, so that's the joy, the intense joy of Zayis Mechasenu. So it's even greater than Adar. It's even greater than Purim. So we certainly have to be so excited that the people are calling the police on us. Okay, so I have experience with these things. So I have to figure out what exactly is the simcha of Sukkot, and why is it that what is the simcha? What is it that we're supposed to be so happy about? Okay. I think for some Kabach there's some interviews like, Rabbi, why are you so happy? Like, what are we so happy about? What are we so happy about on Sukkot? That's the first thing that we have to understand, and the second thing that's somewhat related is to understand that one of the things that the Torah tells us about Sukkot is that the reason that we have to live in a sukkah for 7 days is L'man Yedu Dorotechem. That in order that all of the generations should have da'at. L'man Yedu Dorotechem Kippur Sukkot Hashati Es Bnei Yisrael B'Hatzias HaMeretz Mitzrayim. That when I took you out of Egypt, so I put you in Sukkot, and they have to know that. They have to have da'at. So all the commentaries say that when it says da'at, it means that part of the essence of Sukkot is to increase our da'at, is to make us full of da'at, and it's through this da'at that we're able to be so happy. Okay, so what exactly does it mean da'at? I mean, this is the only time in the Torah that it says that you should do something in order that you should know something. It says numerous times that you should remember something. It says that there's a mitzvah to remember that we left Egypt. It says we have to make a seder, Leman Tizkor. You have to make a seder every year, Leman Tizkor, so Yom Tzedek Me'etzim. That in order that you should remember the day that it says that you should wear tzitzis, Leman Tizkru, Vasisim Kol Mitzvahs, you should wear tzitzis to remember all the mitzvahs. It says lots of times you should remember something. This is the only time that it says do this in order that you should know something. Meaning that there's two levels. There's something called remembering, and there's something called knowing. And the knowing, that's something to do with the essence of Sukkot. And so to try to understand what exactly is this idea of that. So the third thing that we have to know about Sukkot is that Sukkot is corresponding to Yaakov Avinu. Okay, there's a connection between Sukkot and Yaakov Avinu. It says that the 3 regalim are corresponding to the 3 avot. Pesach is corresponding to Avraham, Shavuos is corresponding to Yitzchak, and Sukkot is corresponding to Yaakov. Okay? And that's why the term Sukkot we find in the Torah is corresponding to Yaakov, because it says that Yaakov that after his thing with Esav, so it says for Esav halach l'darko seira, after they had the encounter with the with Esav. He met with Esav's angel, then he met with Esav himself. And after that encounter, then he made it out of peace, and says Esav halach l'darko se'ira, that Esav went away. Yaakov halach Sukkot. And Yaakov went to Sukkot. So this is the only time in the Torah that we see that the Sukkot is mentioned as a thing. It's a place. It's a place, and he inaugurated this place. Yaakov Avinu was connected to this place of Sukkot, and so his connection to Sukkot is specifically after he was victorious over Esav. After he succeeded in defeating Esav, that's when he went to Sukkot. Okay, so what does that have to do with us? Because on Yom Kippur, so we defeat Esav. Okay? We have this encounter with the forces of evil, and it says that every Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, so all the forces of evil, they want to bring us down, and through our tshuva, and through our shofar, and through our tefillah, so we're always victorious. And so after our defeat to the point that and it says that the Satan is powerless, and Satan is powerless on Yom Kippur, that we come victorious, and after Esav goes his way, so after we defeat him, so then we're able to go to Sukkot. Okay, so now Yaakov, so in Kabbalah, usually we don't connect Yaakov with Da'at. Okay, that's so what does it mean if the essence of Sukkot is about Da'at? So how does it make sense that Sukkot is the holiday of Yaakov? Okay, so usually Da'at we connect with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the essence of Da'at, and Yaakov represents Tiferet. Okay, it's Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet. So Tiferet when the Zohar talks about the different sefirot is corresponding to different parts of the body. So Da'at is in your head, Da'at is in your brain, specifically in the back of your brain, which is the part that like decision making. But the Tiferet, the Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet is right hand, left hand, center. Okay, it's the chest. So Yaakov represents Tiferet, which literally means beauty, and it's about balance. And so he represents Tiferet. He doesn't represent that. So what does it mean? So what does it mean that Sukkot is that which is the holiday of Yaakov? What does it mean that that's the holiday of that? Okay, so Tzaddik explains something very, very deep, something very practical, and that is that what we're really connecting to on Sukkot is that it's not enough to have dat in our brains, but rather the understanding needs to come down to our hearts. Okay? And that's precisely in the diagram. So in your chest, that's where your heart is. So there is a da'at that's connected to Yaakov, and that is the understanding of your heart. Okay? Or in other words, that you have people that they understand things with their heads, but not with their heart, and that is that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is that we're supposed to come to a certain level of da'at in our heads as in Rosh Hashanah. It's the time of the Rosh, the time to be it's time to rewire our Rosh. And after we rewired our Rosh, so then we're ready to take it to the next level. And it's like it says in the pasuk in Vaschanan, V'yadata hayom v'hashivata al levavecha, that after you know it in your head, so then the next step is to bring that understanding to your heart. Okay, so that bringing the things that we know, meaning that same truth that we had on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, to bring that down into our heart. So that's what Sukkot is all about. So what was that? What's that truth? What's the clarity that we're supposed to get? We're supposed to get on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It says that. Well, we say on the whole Ella, we say that David Hashem Ori v'Yishi, that Hashem is my light and my salvation. So the Midrash says that Hashem is my light on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem is my salvation on Yom Kippur. Okay, so what does that mean? That Rosh Hashanah is the day of insight. Rosh Hashanah is a day that I think we spoke about this, that it's a day that we're supposed to realize things that we weren't really in touch with before, to come to certain epiphanies, that to connect to a certain truth that we know deep down that this is truly what I want. Meaning the tshuva of Rosh Hashanah is to come to a deeper understanding that yeah, I've actually been fooling myself. I've actually like the things that I thought were going to bring me happiness, like that didn't really work, and like to come to that understanding in my head that I'm going on, like I'm making mistakes, that like there's things that like it would actually be worthwhile for me to fix in my life. That's the R. That's the light. That's the light of Rosh Hashanah. And then the Yom Kippur, which says Hashem is my salvation. What's mean my salvation? It means like that after I realized that I made some mistakes, so then Hashem saves me. And he says, well, all those mistakes, they're gone. Okay? But the thing is that it's still only in my head. So Sukkot is a next level. It's a evolution of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that to take that same understanding from my head and to put it to my heart. Okay? And meaning that there's a difference between a person that knows the right thing to do and a person that feels the right thing to do. This is what they call in Chabad the Moach Shalit al Halev, that when your brains are controlling your heart. So that's the way. That's a state of tikkun. That's a state of rectification. A state when my heart is directed by my brains, and then I don't have this inner conflict. That a person could have a situation that I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and my heart wants the exact opposite. So I could even do the right thing. But I'm going to constantly be suffering. Because if you ask me, what do I want? I want to be eating cheeseburgers, and I want to go to the beach of Shabbos, my mind tells me that that's not the right thing to do, and I just don't feel it. I'm not there. So I live a religious life, but I suffer. Okay, so it's really very unfortunate. That's why we have Sukkot. That Sukkot is for me to be able to internalize these truths, meaning that my heart is going to catch on to what my brain is telling it. Okay? And this is what Sukkot is all about. That these understandings that of where I would like my life to be, how I would like to be living myself, is going to go from my head to my heart. And then he says an amazing thing, that it says that there's a pasuk we say in Kabbalah Shabbos. It says, "Or zarua la tzaddik, ulu yishrei lev simcha." So or zarua la tzaddik means that there's a light which is hidden for the tzaddikim. Speaking of tzaddikim, there's a light for the tzaddikim, and then there's a simcha for the yishrei lev, the people who have a straight heart. So the Midrash says that it's two kinds of people. That there's certain light that tzaddikim have, but simcha is only for people who have a straight heart. Now, what does that mean? What's it mean to have a straight heart? So this is what it means. It means that if your heart is crooked, even if your head is straight, so you're going to have light, because bottom line, you did the right thing. Like you held yourself back from eating the cheeseburger, but your heart wasn't there, because your heart really wanted the cheeseburger. So you're not going to be happy. So you're going to have a miserable life. You're going to do everything right because your heart wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And so Sukkot is the time to take from the da'at from your head to bring that into your heart. Mm-hmm. And then once your heart gets that insight from your head, so then your heart is straight. And then it says, then you have a straight heart. And it was what to say, a person who has a straight heart, then they have simcha. Okay, so the happiness of Sukkot is really what are we so happy about? We're so happy about the fact that we're enjoying having a healthy lifestyle, right? That like the beginning, like when you a person that wants to quit smoking or quit anything that they're not supposed to be doing, that like they go to rehab. Like people like for alcohol, it's very painful. Rehab is painful. Like so at the beginning that there's this conflict. They know that they're living the right thing, but their heart is not there because their heart is used to whatever they got used to it, and they have the withdrawal symptoms, and so they don't have simcha. They don't have the happiness of life, but only afterwards, after they get used to it, after their body learns what it needs to learn, then their body gets used to not having drugs in the system, and then they can have simcha. And then they would never give it back for $1 million. They would never go back to being an addict for anything in the world, because they have the simcha of the healthy lifestyle. Okay, so after Yom Kippur, so then the purpose of Sukkot is that to internalize these ideals, that to connect with the truth with our heart, or in other words, to make sure that our hearts are aligned with the values that we actually stand for. And not only that, but there's something in the air. The part of the segula, part of the energy of the holiday of Sukkot is that it helps us to jump on. It helps us to get on the bandwagon of the values. It's that there's something in the air that makes it easier for us to connect with our hearts, and that's where the simcha comes from. Okay? So this is why there's something very interesting about the mitzvah of Sukkot, that it says that there's only two mitzvahs that you do with your entire body, and that is one is the mitzvah of living in Israel. That like when you're living, it's your whole existence is in the land of Israel. And the other one is Sukkot. That when you live in the sukkah, so your whole existence is in the sukkah. So it's the only two mitzvahs that you perform with your entire body. So the essence of Sukkot is to be immersive. Is that like I'm totally there. That it's not just that my head is there. It's that my whole being is there. And that's part of like getting to Sukkot is that's the victory over Esav. We said that he went to Sukkot after he parted with Esav, after he was victorious of Esav, because Esav says that Esav also had a good head. It says the Reb Tzadok writes that's why it says in the Midrash that his head, Esav's head, was buried in Maras Machpelah. It says Chushim ben Dan. We spoke about this once. The Chushim ben Dan, Dan had a deaf mute son that like at some point, like when they were arguing about when they're trying to bury Yaakov, so Esav was giving him a hard time, and then Chushim ben Dan wanted to know what was going on, and he just took some kind of bat and he knocked over Esav's head, and says Esav's head rolled into Maras Machpelah. So the Reb Tzadok writes that this is symbolic of the fact that Esav's head was on straight. The problem wasn't in Esav's head, the problem was in Esav's heart. Meaning that Esav's heart was in the wrong place. Really the difference between Yaakov and Esav, the victory over Esav is that are my values just in my head, or do I really stand for them? This is the difference between people who are passionate about what they do and people who just do it. Like you have a lot of people that they do the right thing, but they don't really feel it. And in fact, they wish that they could do the opposite. I think I told you about the guy that I met from Beit Shemesh, that they asked him, that he told me that he grew up religious, and then he stopped being religious, and I asked him, like, what happened? He told me I stopped being religious because I have a stupid father. So I asked him, what do you mean? So he said that every Shabbos, so my father would tell me, time to get up, I have to go to shul, and he would say, I don't want to go to shul. And so my father would say, well, you know what? I also don't want to go to shul, but that's what we do. That's how he was brought up. Like this is like that. What it means to be a Jew is doesn't matter what you want. This is what we do. So he was the genius that like outsmarted the system. Lightning's not going to strike. No, it's okay if you don't go to shul. You're still the sun's still going to rise. Even though I didn't wake up for shul, even though I didn't keep Shabbos, there's people but his father, I don't know how many generations before this took, before he broke, that his father was living with the Judaism, that this is what we do. The truth is, I would love to be secular. I wish I would be. I wish I could not have this. But what can we do? We're stuck with this, and like that's such a messed up way to live. That's certainly not going to bring you to Zman Simchatenu. That's going to. So this is the simcha of Sukkot is that to connect with my heart, that I love everything about Judaism. I'm just in love with it. Like it's just, I feel I'm passionate. I would never like the difference between like a person who's fighting against drugs, against the drug addict, right? So like he's passionate about it. Like I'm so happy. I'm so excited about the fact that I don't take drugs. It's something that I'm excited. It's something that I'm happy about. It's not just like I know in my heart I'm not supposed to. But the truth is, like every time I'm speaking at these meetings, like I really wish I could go. No, I'm actually, and like that. This is what it means. That for just like there's an expression in Hebrew, nafal ha'asimon. That like just like to get it, to really get it, that everything that we're trying to, that everything that we claim to believe in, that suddenly we get it, and suddenly our heart is on the same page as our mind. That's what Sukkot is all about. That's the da'at. That's the da'at that Sukkot is trying to bring. Means this is why the word da'at that the Balatanya writes. That the word da'at comes the word from chibur, from connection. Okay, it says vayeda adam eschave ishta. That it uses the word da'at in reference to intimacy, meaning the connection is called da'at, because when you really are connected with something internally, that means that your heart is on the same page. It means that you're emotionally involved in this value. Like it's not just like I know that it's the right thing not to kill. It's that like it's really like yes, I'm gonna, like I'm actually not jealous when I hear that somebody was a serial killer. That actually bothers me. Like I'm actually, so it's the same. So that's the same thing. When I hear that some people like went to some performance at Shabbos, it's like, it's not like, oh my gosh, like dang, like if only. It was like whoa, like I would never give up Shabbos for $1 million. So that it's not like I'm emotionally connected. It's not like I'm doing it because my head. That was what Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, it was enough to do it for my head. And Sukkot is that Nafal HaSimon, that I get it, like I'm emotionally on board. Okay, but the truth is that there's something more specific about the simcha of Sukkot, and that's also connected to the symbolism of Yaakov Avinu, which is the hero of Sukkot, and that is that Yaakov, more than anybody else, he represents Galut. He represents exile. Okay, Yitzchak obviously doesn't represent exile. He never left Israel once in his life. Abraham, so he also has a story of like Lech Lecha, of like a journey, but that's not called exile. He was on the way to Israel. He was from wherever he was from Forrest tells. He was making it to Israel, but that's not called exile. Exile is that when I should be, I feel like I belong home and I'm not there yet. Okay, so that's Yaakov. Yaakov was running away from home, and he had to run away from home because Esav was trying to kill him. Okay? So Yaakov represents the concept of being in Galut, being in exile. And the truth is that the mitzvah of Sukkah represents being in exile, because it's the time that we are kicked out of our house, the time that we're not allowed to be in our house, and the Torah says, "Say medirat kava," and exit your permanent dwelling and go into a temporary dwelling. Okay, so there's a very interesting midrash that the Tzaddik brings, that why is it that Sukkot is after Yom Kippur? That if on Yom Kippur it was decreed upon us that we should need to go to exile, so then going into Sukkot should be considered the exile. Okay, so now what does the midrash mean? So first of all, there's a question that a lot of commentaries ask that the midrash is addressing, and that is that why do we celebrate Sukkot on Sukkot? Why don't we celebrate Sukkot on Pesach? Why should we celebrate Sukkot on Pesach? Because the Torah says that what are we celebrating Sukkot for? That when Hashem took us out of Egypt, so He put us in these sukkahs, whatever that means. But it's something happening when He took us out of Egypt. So when He took us out of Egypt, He took us on Pesach time. So there's nothing there's nothing historically happening now. So why are we celebrating? Why celebrating Sukkot now? We should celebrate Sukkot on Pesach, because that's so the part of, there's many answers to this, but the Midrash is addressing that question, and the Midrash says that the reason why it's now is because it needs to be right after Yom Kippur, because on Yom Kippur maybe, the Midrash is talking about when we had a Beis Mikdash, when we were not in exile. That maybe it would be decreed upon us that we should need to go into exile, and that's why going into Sukkot should fix that, should fill that hole. So Reb Tzadok writes that just like it helps if we have a Beis Mikdash, so Sukkot somehow helps that it should not go into Galus. So certainly, for us that we are in exile, so there's something special about the mitzvah of Sukkot that brings the Geula, that helps us exit the exile, and that's why there's something messianic about the holiday of Sukkot, which is also very interesting because on Sukkot, so we read about Gog and Magog. On Sukkot, we read about the Haftarah, about the end of times. There's something about Sukkot that brings us to the end. Yeah, you can check out. I have videos on YouTube about Gog and Magog that a lot of Christians apparently were interested in seeing. But there's something special about Sukkot. Sukkot is the holiday of the end. Okay, so what's the thing about Sukkot bringing the Mashiach? So it says that through going into exile, that's how we get us out of exile. So now what does this mean? So Reb Tzadok explains that what's really the essence of Sukkot. It says same idea as kva, exit a permanent dwelling. So permanent dwelling, that symbolizes the things that we can trust. Okay, a person that knows that I have a job and I'm not going to get fired. I know that I have a house and my house is going to be strong. I know that I have the more that I have a support system, so the less I need God. Okay, and so there's something about not having anything to rely on that actually brings us close to Hashem. The Midrash, the Mishnah says in Saita that before Mashiach comes, so then everything's going to go backwards. It says Ve'ein lanu lishayin ela ala v'nei sheshmayim. That the only thing that we can trust is only Hashem. Meaning that before Mashiach comes, it's going to be a time that there is nothing that we can trust. There's going to be no economy. It's going to be nothing.
It's like the times we're in right now.
And I know, I remember, like on a personal level. So, with finances, I know that I experienced this very, very strongly. That there was a time that I needed large amounts of money for I think it was down payment for an apartment, and I didn't know where the money was going to come from. I knew that I signed. I know that if I don't show up with the money, I'm going to have huge fines. But I was just dependent on somehow the money is going to show up, and it was $7,000 that was missing, and I had 2 days to just come up with this money, and I remember that the feeling of reliance on God to be so strong that it was an amazing feeling. It was an amazing feeling, just knowing that I actually have no idea how I'm going to get this money, and I really, really need this money. And I remember the night before the money was due, I got this phone call that, "Hi, is this Kirsten? Did you sign up for a free loan 6 months ago? So tonight it's your turn." Unreal. But knowing that I actually have nothing that I can rely on, so that actually brings you closer to God. Okay? So this is the exile as being taking away from the kva, taking away the security is actually a way of bringing us closer to Hashem. Okay? This is something that there's a beautiful thing that by Purim, by Purim it says, right, Yom Kippur, Purim. So by Purim it says that you have to drink so much that you don't know the difference between Baruch, Mordechai, and Ar Haman. Right? So I once heard a beautiful thing from Rav Pinkus, that he said in the name of the Arizal that what does it mean that you have to get mixed up between Baruch, Mordechai, and Ar Haman? So it means that there's actually something on Purim that goes that blessed is Haman and cursed is Mordechai. So what could that possibly be? How could it be that what's good about, what's blessed about Haman, what's cursed about Mordechai? So we said that there's one thing. That is that through Haman, when Haman was made this decree that we're about to be destroyed, so we were scared for our lives. So what do? So it says we fasted, and it says that we gathered in the shoals and we were crying out, Hashem, please save us. So those moments of crying out for our dear lives. So it's true, we were terrified. We actually thought that this might be the last time that we're ever on this earth. But that moment of complete reliance on God was such an awesome feeling that after we got saved, so we told Mordechai, oh my gosh, thank you, Mordechai. I'm so happy that we're alive. There's just one thing I miss. It's one thing I miss. You know what I miss? That feeling in Shul when I was saying, Hashem, please save me. I don't know. I missed that. There was something so awesome about complete reliance on God. I'm knowing that there's nothing that I can trust here. That it's only that feeling brought me so close that it was an amazing feeling. I wish I could have that back. So that's the same Adiras Kva, is to leave the things that bring us security, and to know that from the lack of security comes that Hashem is just waiting for us with open arms, that He's got our back. Okay? So this is what Galut is trying to bring us. This is what the going out, leaving our security, and this is actually the reason why it helps for Galut, is because that's actually what the purpose of exile is. That when the exile from Eretz Yisrael, from having a geula, the reason why Hashem puts us into exile is because there's a certain kind of emunah that we need to gain from being the underdog, being oppressed, that brings us to the point that there's nobody I can trust. I know that the Arabs are trying to kill me, so it forces me to trust Hashem. And that trust is the purpose of us being in exile. So once we get it, so we can have geula. That's the whole purpose of the exile, is to bring us to this level of emunah. So that's why getting that level of emunah, which is precisely the purpose of Sukkot, is what brings us to geula. So this is really on a deeper level. So Sukkot is a continuation of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur. So I'm trying to fix all of the mistakes I made. I'm trying every time that I made a bad decision. So I'm trying to fix them. And then comes Sukkot and says, that it's not enough that I do the right things. I have to fix my heart. I have to fix my mindset. I have to fix my emunah. There's a beautiful story, it's a true story, that the Kozlov Rebbe, Zechron Levracha, was a Holocaust survivor. He lost his wife and 11 children, were all murdered in the gas chambers, and he came out and he remarried and he had a whole new family and he had a whole new dynasty, and he made now there's thousands and thousands and thousands of Kozlov Chassidim, and he was a huge Talmid Chacham. It was an amazing story. I have a class on him on YouTube as well, and so right after they were liberated, so he was with a lot of Yidden in the DP camp, and I forgot the name of the DP camp, but he was there. There's a whole story that Eisenhower, who's at the time the general of the American army, but later became the president so he came to visit, and he was very impressed with the Kozlov Rebbe. Anyway, so there's a famous story that right after the Holocaust, with the first Yom Kippur, so he gave up to speak before Ne'ilah, and he opened up the machzor. He opened up the machzor, and he said, and he started reading. He says, Ashamnu, we're guilty. What did we do wrong? Bagadnu, how did we betray you? Gazano, we didn't have any money. How could we? There was nothing to steal. Dibran Dofi, we didn't even talk. If we would talk, they would shoot us. And he said, I don't. Who wrote this? And he said that this is not. This video is not for us. This video is not for us. I don't know why. Who told us that it would be smart for us to say this video? And he said, but there's something else that we have to do video for. How many of us went to sleep at night hoping that we wouldn't have to wake up in the morning? How many of us that just couldn't take it anymore, and through all of this intense suffering, that said, like, I don't even need to hope for a better tomorrow. I just want this just to end. That's what we have to do tshuva for. That if we ever at any point we gave up, we didn't believe in a better future, that's something that we did do. We stopped hoping, and for that we need to do tshuva. And this was his message, that there's a tshuva of doing something wrong, and then there's a deeper tshuva, a tshuva of your emunah. And this is what I think that what the Reb Tzadok is saying, that after the tshuva of doing the right things, so then comes the tshuva of emunah. Yeah, and this is exactly why Sukkot comes after Yom Kippur, because after you do tshuva for any times that you made a bad decision, so then we say that it's not enough. It's not enough that you do tshuva on the right decisions, that you have to have your heart connected to God. And this is the emunah of Tzei Mediras Kvar, the emunah of knowing that, like, I don't need security, that I know that Hashem has got me. So this is the tikkun of emunah, which brings us simcha. Okay, which brings us simcha. And now, so how does this bring us simcha? So the thing is like this: that we're saying that Sukkot symbolizes the holiday of Galut, right? It symbolizes the holiday of exile, because that's literally what we're doing. We're putting ourselves in exile. So if you think about it, this is the opposite of Pesach, because Pesach is the holiday of redemption. So you have on two corners of the year. So Pesach is the holiday of redemption, and Sukkot is the holiday of exile. So what does this represent? So a person needs to have dreams. A person needs to know that it's going to be a better tomorrow. That I know that it's not going to last forever. One day Hashem is going to put me into a good situation. Okay, that's what Pesach is all about. To know that I'm going to be redeemed. And that Sukkot is the opposite. Is that I don't need anything. Things are exactly perfect. Okay, this is something that in DBT. So the D in DBT stands for dialectic. So dialectic means the ability for two contradictory ideas to simultaneously exist. So in DBT specifically, the two contradictory ideas are that a person who's coming to therapy, usually they're in a bad situation, right? So the first thing that they need to know is that I need to change. My situation's not good. I need to get to a better situation. Okay, so the first mentality is the mentality of change. Okay? But there's another mentality that they also need, and that is the mentality of acceptance. What's acceptance mean? That a lot of times, because things are so bad, so people are just desperate not to be in the situation that they're in. So because they're so desperate, so they can't do anything. They're so desperate, like, I can't take this anymore. So they're just so upset at themselves and beating themselves up in the fact that things aren't the way that they would like them to be. So then they can't function. So what do we need to tell such a person? That it's okay, whatever it is, it's okay. You're doing great. You're perfect. Things are a-okay. Okay, and that's called acceptance. And without acceptance, you won't be able to get anywhere, right? So the thing is that when we're dealing with change, so we're saying that things are not okay. And we want him to change because right now the truth is that he's messing up his life. He has behaviors that are sabotaging everything, and he doesn't have a job. He isn't able to have relationships, and he needs to actually change, right? But at the same time, we tell him that you don't have to change. You're perfect. Things are perfect. Things don't have to change, and it's actually two contradictory things that make up your mind. Are things okay, or do I need to change? And the answer is that it's true that it doesn't make sense, but it's okay. Everything's okay. But you're okay? Okay? You think it's okay? Okay. Now let's change. And it doesn't make any sense because if things are okay, so why should I change? And if I need to change, then things aren't okay. But that's okay. So Pesach is the time for thinking about a better future. Pesach is the time for focusing on my geula. That knowing that this doesn't need to stay forever. It's okay for things it's going to get better. It's the time to remember that things are going to change. And Sukkot is the opposite. Sukkot is the other end of the spectrum, is that complete acceptance, what she calls radical acceptance. That it's whatever it is, it's okay. It could be that I'm just homeless. I'm sleeping in a car, and that's okay. And it's really, really okay. I just embrace Hashem with my being homeless. And Hashem is also homeless. It's not so bad. And that's what every homeless person tells themselves. and so the Sukkot is about this radical acceptance that it's completely okay. And this is the simcha of Sukkot is in this radical acceptance that it's okay for me to be homeless. It's okay for me to be in exile. And this is why the simcha of Sukkot is specifically in the little things. It's the happiness of existence. Okay, we see this in two things. That first of all, in the sukkah itself, it says that how do you make a sukkah? It says that you make a sukkah from psolet garin v'yakiv. Psolet garin v'yakiv means that the residue and the leftovers from the threshing floor, that when you make wheat, like the straw, the stuff that's left over, the stuff that nobody has anything to do with it, that it's just the garbage. So that's the stuff that you use for schach. So Rabbi Nachman writes that what does this represent? That you take the garbage, and in Sukkot we take this garbage and we say, we're going to give you the spotlight. You are the star of Sukkot. We're going to make you the schach. That the whole sukkah is only kosher because we have this straw on top. And you can't put diamonds, you can't put food, you can't put only the garbage, only the good for nothing stuff. That's the only stuff that could be used for schach. And this is the time that all this straw, all this nothing, all this garbage. So this is the holiday where we say, all this garbage, you are perfect. I'm just going to enjoy my straw. Right? So it's perfect. And I can enjoy my coffee without sugar, without milk, just like whatever it is. And it doesn't need to be any better. It's perfect exactly the way it is. And that's the rejoicing of existence itself. There's another very interesting custom, you could call it. It's a halacha, it's a mitzvah. We had the Beis Hamikdash, so it says that the highest level of simcha, the pinnacle of the simcha of Sukkot, was something called the Simchat Beit HaShoeva. Okay, we have parties nowadays, they call it Simchat Beit HaShoeva, named after that. But the original, the OG Simchat Beit HaShoeva was that they would have this thing, that they would, once a year, that they would take this, they would draw the water from the depths of the earth, a very, 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 very deep well. They would draw the depths from the depths of the earth, and the drawing was a whole thing. That's what the shoeva means, the drawing. They draw from the deepest well in the whole planet. They take the water from down below, then they would take it, and they would take it up, and what would they do? They put it on the mizbeach, and it would go exactly down to the same place. That's what the Simchas B'Shveva is, because on Sukkot is the one time that we have a water offering, and we put the water offering down in Mizbeach. So what we do, take the water, and so it was a whole thing to take it from the deepest depths of the world, and what do we do with it? We put it exactly back where it came from. Mm-hmm. And so what is this? This represents a certain just I don't know, just to be able to just be in awe of the beauty of just everything, of just every simple good morning, every breath of air, every smile. It's just that I don't need anything to make me happy. Just let's just drink water and just that there's things going in circles that can bring me happiness. I don't need to go anywhere. Just I can be going nowhere and just enjoy the process. Okay? Which is the opposite of that's radical acceptance. The opposite of that I need to get somewhere. Just completely being okay with just going in circles. That I'm just enjoying the process. I'm just enjoying my life. And so this is the simcha. This is the simcha of Sukkot. Okay? It's a crazy radical acceptance. And this is really what Exile is supposed to teach us. That everything is Hashem, and there is nothing that is just me. Everything is that, even in things that seem mundane, even in things that seem backwards and upside down, so everything is Hashem. So then when I tap into that, so then I can rejoice in that connection. Okay? So this is on a deeper level. This is what the happiness of Sukkot is that what Yaakov is trying to teach us is that Yaakov is representing Galut, Yaakov is representing exile, and the message of exile is that we can actually be happy in exile. That even though everything is backwards, even though they're trying to kill us, but who cares that they're trying to kill us? But I can drink my coffee. I can enjoy a sunrise. I can just to recognize that every single thing is Hashem. And so this is what brings us to Simcha. So I also thought that we should really be able to really have an amazing, joyous Sukkot, and we shouldn't have to be in any bomb shelters. And if Chas v'Shalom, we have to be in bomb shelters to know that it's okay. We might die tomorrow, but it's okay. At least today we can enjoy our coffee. And at the deepest level, not that we can feel Hashem's closeness as we're enjoying our last coffee, and this is what it helps us to it takes away the stress of life, is to know that it's okay. Everything is perfect. Everything is exactly the way it is, and when we tap into the fact that everything is perfect, then that brings us endless, infinite simcha. So B'ezrat Hashem, we should be able to really internalize this, like we said the first day, to really that our heart should be full of all of these truths, and to be able to know that Hashem is everywhere and everything. So everything's good.
That's a question.
Okay.